Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Edge Designs for episode 2 of props I've made. So hopefully you guys liked the previous episode where we talked about the custom Daredevil cowl that I made in collaboration with Quest for Effects. Today's episode is still sticking with Daredevil and not something super original, but I put a little bit of my creativity into it. And that is the Shadowland Daredevil helmet. Whoops. So, it's clearly the Netflix version, and this is actually casted off of the Dio 3D Daredevil helmet. I got one for dirt cheap, a 3D print of it off of eBay, I believe. I got it, I think, for like $40. Sanded it, got it all ready for mold, and decided to do a Shadowland version. I'd offered a few versions. I did the She-Hulk, I did the regular Netflix, and I did the Defenders version of it, which all had slight different paint schemes. But for my own personal collection, I did this Shadowland variant, which is based off of the shot in the trailer for Daredevil Born Again, where it had all those different cowls, previous cowls that he's worn. And in one of the shots, it looked like there was a black version of the helmet with these red, like these super dark burgundy red horns. Since then, it's shown that the paint scheme wasn't exactly that. They were black as well, or even darker red than this. Because the actual cowls used for that scene were on display somewhere recently, and you could see a clear image of the black version, and it didn't have those red horns. So even though I put the red horns on there, and it's not entirely faithful to that interpretation of the mask, I still really like this color scheme. So I casted this one. It's really dusty. All of these things just sit on my shelves and collect dust because I don't cosplay as much as I should. So yeah, that was the inspiration behind this, and also a buddy of mine who actually professionally cosplays Daredevil did a Shadowland version of the Daredevil suit, although he did his helmet entirely black, and he actually put like the Shadowland emblem on it. Did it like a Netflix version of the Shadowland suit. So he had a full Netflix suit that he painted it entirely black, had somebody do his cowl, which was entirely black, and he put a little bit of battle damage. I went a little bit heavier with the battle damage on mine just because it helps break up the monotony of the entire thing being black. So I casted this in black. It's made of Task 16, which is a little bit more sturdy. And to break up the color scheme just slightly, I actually went over it with some black paint on some of the sections. So like this section here, I went over with black paint. I did these internal pieces with the black as well, and I also did the eye sockets. So you can kind of see that there's kind of a flat black and a kind of an in-between, like kind of a satin black for around the eyes and some of these internal pieces. I did that just to break up the monotony of it being completely this flat black color. And then obviously we did the horns in that deep burgundy color, and then it's got the red lenses in there. So nothing, too extreme with it, but I'm really happy with this paint job. And I did a little bit of excessive chipping and whatever, because it just helps make this thing feel more real. And even though, like I said, it is made of rubber, it's made of Task 16, which is kind of a sturdier rubber. And if you look at the screen helmets, the way that Charlie puts them on, like some of the rubber versions, like the stunt versions, I think it might be made of a similar material, because you can tell there's a tiny bit of flex in them, but they still hold that shape incredibly well. So I'm gonna throw on a balaclava and show it to you guys. Nothing special. I don't have any screen accurate balaclava for this version of Daredevil. It just helps. sell the look when you cover your ears, otherwise your ears pop out of that section there. So it fits me really well too. You just put it on like a Captain America helmet. You put your nose in there and you kind of pull it back like this, and then it sits on my face perfectly, and it actually fits me like incredibly well. It's a 24-inch head. You can probably see my eyes in there because I didn't do the best job with the lenses, but it just sits on display, and everything is red now. Like, it's really red. It's actually kind of surreal seeing my entire background just completely red. It's almost like a pinky red with the way that these lenses work. These are just thin acrylic sheets that I got off Amazon. I think I got like 20 of them for $7 or something. And I was able to get a lot of lenses out of them when I was doing some Daredevil stuff. And really, really happy with how this particular casting came out. Like I said, I've done a few for some people, but typically I was just offering the on-screen versions. I kept this one for myself. I didn't offer it because I like to do something a little different with the stuff that I make for myself. That isn't just a replica of what everybody else makes. Like, I know people offer the Netflix Charlie Cox version of Daredevil, but not a lot of people offer this unless you commission a 3D print and you paint it yourself. Now they have the black version of the Born Again, which has the texture all over it, but I kind of prefer this look with the flat and the red horns, even though I guess the red horns weren't accurate. Now seeing better pictures of it being on display, but originally it did look like those red horns were there, and I think it just helps the look, and it breaks up the all black with just a bit of color there. I'm a really good lawyer. I don't know. Let's get this off. But yeah, short and sweet with this one. The Daredevil helmet from Netflix. This file is available from Do3D. If you want to make one out of PLA or resin. I decided to get it as pristine as I possibly could with the sanding and whatever, and mold it. So there it is, rubber casting of the Do3D Daredevil that I did in a Shadowland lightly weathered version for my own personal collection. 24-inch head fits me like immaculately well. There's no room in there. Like, there's a tiny bit, but not like, it doesn't move around. That's what a lot of people who do the Daredevil suit really worry about, is if it's gonna fit them like perfectly. But this thing really does. Like, it's got a bit more room when I'm not wearing the balaclava, but when I wear the balaclava, it sits like at the right level and it just looks great. And it also, having the balaclava hides my beard, so it sells the illusion a bit better. Because bearded Daredevil only works for like a few different iterations of Daredevil, and still, that is more of an appropriate beard for Daredevil than all of this. Which is why I don't cosplay very much, because I like to grow out my facial hair and not have to trim it all off for cosplay. But the balaclava does a good job of kind of pinching it so it doesn't look like I have a full beard. But yeah, there it is. And then if anyone's wondering how these eyes were attached, typically I put Velcro in there, but this time, because this was primarily going to be for display and I wasn't going to sell this one, I just permanently glued them in there. And I also put an easy on, easy off coating in there, which is just throwing some baby powder at the last layer as it's curing, and it will embed itself in the polyurethane, and then it leaves a nice soft finish where it doesn't pull your hair when you put it on and off. Really clean casting too, like it came out really great. But yeah, there it is, the Charlie Cox Daredevil from the Do3D file. I believe it's the She-Hulk version of the file. He has multiple versions, but he put out an updated version when She-Hulk came out, And I think it's really faithful to the on-screen prop. Like every angle just looks really great, especially in the black. Like, I don't know. I think most suits just look great in black and red. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of, like, you know, black suit Daredevil, I think this prop looks really nice in black. So kept this one for the collection. Just sits up there on the shelf with my other stuff. So that'll do it for episode 2. I'll show you guys the mold. I forgot to show you the mold. All right, so here is the mold. You can see it's a 2-part mother mold made of plaster. It's got the silicone mold in there with all the details that you need in order to make the Charlie Cox Daredevil helmet. One thing I wish I would have done differently with this is you can see all the overspill from castings I've done, because I went right, I put a trim around it. I should have gone lower with the trim, because this area overspills a lot and it sticks onto the outside mold, and I'm having to peel it off of there every time I do a casting. So if I was to do this mold again, which I can't, I got rid of the master, but if I was to ever do something like this again, I would have this come lower so that it wasn't sticking to the outside mold, because I like to keep my molds pretty clean. Like, you can see that for the most part, the rest of the mold is really clean. I take my time when I do castings, but you can see that I didn't leave enough trim. Like, there's only a little bit of trim here, and there's even, like, there's no trim there. So if I was to do it, you can actually see where the cowl ends there. There's only a tiny bit of trim right here. That's all that I have, and the cowl design actually stops underneath that line. So if I was to do this again, I would have left a larger trim just so I wasn't getting my mold so dirty and having to rip it off of there every time, because you risk, when you're ripping that off of there, because this is just plaster bandage, you risk accidentally starting to peel the bandages off and ruining your mold. So if I was to do it again, I would have made that part longer, maybe had the mold come to about here, and I would have been safe. But I didn't make a lot of sales on this, and now it's just archived back there with my other molds. And we got the Shadowland version out of it for my personal collection, which I'm really happy with. So, episode 2 of props I've made. The Shadowland Daredevil helmet, one-off. I don't offer them anymore, but if somebody would like one, you can contact me and maybe we can work something out. But I'm not in the making scene anymore. Just doing this for fun. But because I do have a mold, technically I could make one for the public. It's just I'm not advertising that I make them anymore, because it didn't give enough return when I was a maker. Now I'm just a hobbyist. So you can contact me if you need one. I don't offer the black version, but I can offer the red or the yellow, hypothetically. All right, guys. Props I've made, episode 2. Daredevil, Shadowland helmet made from the season 2 DO 3D file. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and the next episode will either be Harley Quinn or Batman Beyond. They're the only ones that I currently have castings of. Well, I have a casting of Harley Quinn, and I have a buddy of mine who made Batman Beyond in silicone, but from my design. So it's my design, but in silicone. So I'm anxious to see if it will move and talk, because that's the way that I designed it. So the next episode will either be Harley Quinn for next week or Batman Beyond for next week. Depends on when Batman Beyond arrives. We did like a private deal, and I don't actually know when it's arriving. He just said he would make me one in silicone just so I could try it out, because I've always wanted it in silicone, but I didn't have the means to make it myself. I don't have the expertise in casting in silicone. but he does. So I sent him my master, he molded it, and he made me one in silicone. So when that arrives, I want to do a video on it, and that might be the next episode for next week, or that might be the episode the following week, depending on when it arrives. But let me know what you guys think of the series Props I've Made, where I just show you guys some cool stuff that I've made and kind of talk about the inspiration behind it. And I got some decent views on episode 1. Hopefully this one does a bit better, because I know Charlie Cox is a popular Daredevil, whereas my design was original. Sometimes sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and when you upload things, what's going to be popular and what's not. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, this has been Props I've Made with Edge Designs. I'm Jaden. Peace out and be good people.